Hey, Dan here, and we have another Ask Dan question coming from Germany today. Now, before I get into the question, a little housekeeping. If you do want to send me in a question, the best way to do it is through my website. You'll see a tab right at the top there in the menu called Ask Dan and submit the question that way. I love you guys, but I get questions sent on YouTube messages, which I didn't even know was a thing until recently. I get questions sent on my Facebook page and all over the place. So I eventually see those, but sometimes I don't see them for weeks or months. So if you really want to send something through, ask Dan on the website. Now let's get to this question. I am Sasha from Germany, and I've just seen your YouTube video about how to succeed in your business or career. That's a video for ENFPs, link. But this isn't the topic I felt like writing you about. I've just discovered myself to be a true mix of ENFP and ENTP. And I'm wondering if you have ever dated an INFP girl. Me dating? Never. No, never. I'm asking because I got to know an INFP girl at a party 2 weeks ago, and I'm 100% sure we both felt a deep connection out of the blue. A couple more things. He had her take the test, which of course an INFP would love. And let's see. So then he's mentioning some traits. But what confused me is she was extremely extroverted, social behavior in a group of 7 or 8 people. Maybe she is acting very outgoing all the time to prevent going inside her head, or do you think this could be another explanation for such kinds of restlessness for an INFP? Do you have some other tips with how to deal with INFPs, especially an INFP girl that shows interest in me? Thank you for your answer, or perhaps you could make a video about this topic, which is what I'm doing. So my first thought, I'm going to get into INFPs, and I do have some experience in terms of dating with INFPs as well, just not that my personal experience necessarily matters. But one of the things that jumps out on me here, and I know it's funny coming from the guy who makes videos about personality type and all that, right? I should really encourage you to be obsessed with it, but I gotta say, don't be so obsessed with it. There's more to personality type. If I purely relied on the personality type in terms of who I was dating, I would not be with my partner right now. Now, you might have seen a video I filmed about 8 months ago about how I'm an ENFP also dating an ENFP, which is not something recommended in general, like in the literature, and it's an awesome relationship, and it still is. And so there is something to be said with the compatibility, and at the end of the video, I'll mention a compatibility chart I have. Like, there's certain types that are not a good fit, and there's certain types that are a good fit. But as long as you're sort of within that realm, you don't have to overthink it so much, right? So I'm all for testing your friends and people you're dating. Tell them about my videos, my books, awesome. But don't necessarily overthink all this. Sometimes the Myers-Briggs, for all the benefits it has, it can also end up creating these limiting beliefs. And I've also found where I've tried to force things with someone that was the perfect compatibility type, and it really wasn't actually the right fit. But it was like, well, Myers-Briggs said we should have a romantic spark, so let's try it out. So an ENFP and an INFP. Well, one reason that you probably feel this connection, and it makes total sense, is ENFPs and INFPs are both very intuitive people, and we both interact with the world through our emotions in one way or the other, right? We do it differently, but basically we experience life through intuition and emotions. And we're both idealists as well, so like falling in love and fairy tales and all that is relatively appealing to us, present company included. And so I can definitely understand that sort of deep connection right away. It makes total sense. My advice in terms of an INFP, and this is definitely coming from my own experience, as an ENFP, we can be quite over the top sometimes, and sometimes we say things we don't follow through on. Sometimes, often maybe. And so from the female point of view, an ENFP guy can often come off as like a liar. He said this, he said he felt this, he just wanted to get me into bed. And that's not actually what the guy is experiencing. The guy is like feeling those emotions in the moment and then kind of changes or something shifts or whatever it is. INFPs tend to be, and this is more coming from my own dating experience, not from me as the professional who writes books or whatever, keep that in mind. In my experience in dating, that INFPs tend to be fairly sensitive and slow to open themselves up. And so if they do open themselves up to you, you as an ENFP have a bit of a responsibility to be responsible, to follow through on your word, to be aware of her feelings. I'm sure this can happen the other way as well, male, female, reversing that all around and that. But being really, sensitive of their feelings, because for you, what might be easy to sort of open up and put yourself out there and fall for someone might not be nearly so easy for them. And so you might find in a situation where there is the risk of kind of over-promising or losing interest quickly and potentially hurting someone. Not that happened in my past or anything, but that is something I would include there. The other thing I would say is, part of your question, you were asking about how she would have such extroverted social behavior, right? If she was an INFP. And this goes back to my point about don't overthink the types too much, because there's more than just your type that plays into this, right? Confidence plays a big role. Confidence and anxiety, but anxiety is very much related to confidence. Some of my early books were on this topic, and there's a big interplay between basically your belief in yourself and then feeling anxiety, right? Because if you feel really confident in your ability to handle a situation, it's less likely you'll feel anxious. So you can have many cases, like apparently from the general typing, like Jay-Z and Arnold Schwarzenegger are INTJs. Well, these are not people that you would probably see at an event and think, wow, that's like a shy introvert, right? Because they have a lot of confidence, they have a lot of drive, and they've learned how to handle themselves in social situations and all that. So you can have an extroverted type who may be more shy in social situations because of some insecurities or because of anxiety. And you can also have it where you'll have someone who is maybe an introverted type, but that doesn't mean that when they're with friends and stuff, they can't be like loud and telling stories and all that as well. It's just more of where they get their energy from. So one of the key ways to tell whether you're truly an introvert or extrovert, it's not whether you like people, because most people like people, or that, but it's how you get your energy. So as an extrovert, usually you need to be around people that energizes you, right? If you stay home for 2 or 3 days and you're an extrovert, you'll get really down and you're like, I need people. Where introverts tend to find social situations more overwhelming. Sorry, I shouldn't say overwhelming, but tiring. So I have some friends here, good friends of mine, they're a couple and they're both introverts. I haven't had them do the test, but I'm 99% sure. And if there's like a big party, they will come out to be polite, to sort of meet everyone, but they'll maybe spend an hour and then go because it's just not like a great environment for them. But they love to organize like small dinners for friends or see friends and all that. They're not opposed to like hanging out, talking and all that. They love that. It's just about the kind of social event and that as well. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I don't necessarily, depending on the social environment, it doesn't necessarily say too much about type. But again, the thing I will leave you on is regardless of exactly, where she falls on the type, there's a little more to that. I found in my own case, in a relationship with another ENFP, which there's some challenges sometimes, but learning to be more mature and kind of think things through of just acknowledging our strengths and our weaknesses and then appreciating each other for who we are has been really powerful. So if you find that you and Miss INFP here have a connection and it keeps going and growing, keep that in mind of accepting the other person for who they are. And really what I found helpful is taking time to be grateful for the other person. Like think about all the amazing traits they have. And then when some of the maybe frustrating traits come up, it's not going to bug you as much because you've sort of built up that buffer of like all the great things about that person. So I did mention that I have a compatibility chart I'll share with you. This is something that I'm just putting up here. So if you'd like it, I'll put a link here and you'll be able to get this compatibility chart, which will show you like all the 16 types and who's sort of a red zone, like never date, who like it could possibly be a good fit, and who like you could be a great match with. But again, it's not 100%. So sometimes trust your heart as well. And with that, you'll also get a 5-part email training, which is all about how to use your personality type and your knowledge of your personality type to create the most awesome life for you. And again, that's all free, and there'll be the link popping up, or it's already popped up. I think it's this side, but I always it's this one of these sides. You're gonna see a link, okay? Come on, you're good at computers, you can do it. All right, catch you in another video soon. Subscribe to the channel. Love you guys, awesome, bye.